So for today's tea time, I have honeysuckle flower beverage, and it's like an instant tea. Now to add to my wicked cup. Stir. It's good. Okay, so first off, whee! So yay! Happy New Year's, everyone! I hope you guys have a fantastic New Year's, and I think it's about time now to answer some questions. So the first question that I'm going to be answering today comes from a YouTube user named Crappyjokes, and they asked my opinion on resin quality on the BJD dolls. And I know I wrote a reply back to you, but I wanted to kind of show you in the video some different little things about the dolls. And like I told you in your message, BJD and Resin sold their sister companies, and honestly I don't have a BJD doll, but I know some of their bodies are different from the Resin sold dolls, so I'm not quite sure if the resin, if they're cast from similar resin or not. But what I can tell you from my resin sole that I have compared to other dolls, you can tell the difference in the resins. Kai here, who is my resin sole gang, is currently being glomped by his sister Umi, which is Fantasy Doll Kemi. He is still actually considerably lighter than my girl Yue over here, and Yue is a Doll Zone Lotus, and she is just extremely heavy. And when you look at the resin, even something as simple as like the hands, when you look at how thin the resin is cast in the wrist, like right here, it's not very thick. You look at her wrists, the resin that is put into her is extremely thick. It is really, really thick. And so that is why she is heavier, because the resin they cast her with is, they cast her with a lot of resin. So she's really, really like thick and heavy. The good thing about it is that she does stand very well on her own because she is heavier. She's got more of a base to her, as to where Kai, since he's a little bit thinner in places with his resin, he kind of tends to get floppy sometimes. No matter how much I've sueded him, I've tightened his strings. It's just the resin. It's just some parts, you know, it's just not thick and sturdy enough. Not to say though that since he does have a very thin cast of resin for his pieces that he is terrible at making poses and things like that. Quite the contrary. He's actually still really good at it, and like you saw over there, he's still, the resin that he has in him and the sturdiness and all that stuff, it's still really good and it's strong. He was able, and he is able to hold Umi, which is a YOSD, on his own. I don't have to like hold anything weird or anything like that. He can just simply just like carry her, and she stays put. He's not like weak enough to where he's gonna let go of her. He's still pretty strong. So I hope that helped in some way. I don't think just because it was a cheaper price that it's like poor quality of resin, because it's still resin, and he does still pose really well, and he's a good, you know, sturdy guy. It's just not as thick as some of the other dolls. It's just thinner. So I hope that helped. Crappyjokes. Okay, so another question that I got asked was from a user named Anna, and she sent me like 2 messages, and basically she wanted to know my opinion on the Lutz dolls and what would be a good first doll for her, and also asking about like tools and supplies that you would need for your doll if it's the first one that you're getting. So I've actually made a couple different videos about different tools and things like that that you may need, kind of like basics. I can link those here for you. I have one that's a 2-parter, and then I have another video that talks about like face-up materials that you need and that would be good to get. And also I have another one that talks about tips for first-time buyers. So you're more than welcome to check those out. But I guess to kind of summarize what I've said in those videos, there are a couple like major things that you may be wanting to get with your first doll. So basics among basics, you're gonna want something like a wig, not unless you're not gonna be too particular about your doll without hair for a bit until you actually get one. But I'd recommend getting a wig, even if, like, for Kai, it's a weird wig, my Kariba wig. Just something that they can have on their head. One of two reasons, just so you could protect that part of their body when you have it out and about. Having some clothes or even like a basic outfit would be good, whether if you're making it for them or if you're just buying like a simple skirt and a shirt or pants and a shirt. Just something that they can cover them up for the same reasons that you don't want the resin to get scratched or damaged. Good old faithful Mr. Super Clear is also a really good thing to have. The problem with buying sealants and things like that is they are hard to find sometimes, and there are different kinds of sealants that are out there. I use Mr. Super Clear just because it's the one that I've read and it's used almost like the most. These guys can vary in price. I think I've seen them on eBay for like $13 to $17 a can. But basically you want this just so you could spray it on them, and it will protect against like stains, and if you get the UV cut, it helps protect against the sun, which it's always good to protect your dolls against the sun in any way that you can because of the yellowing factor that comes into play. I would also recommend getting Magic Clean erasers, which are these little white spongy eraser type deals. This is because if something does happen to get onto the resin, or if you get a scuff or something, you can just use this, and you don't have to wet it. You can actually just keep it dry, and just put it on the area that may be a little bit dirty or whatever, and it'll clean it right off. Like I said, I'll leave the other videos that I've done on tips and things like that for buying tools and materials at the bottom in the description box. But those are kind of some key, like, basic, like, little reminder things to have when you have your doll. Okay, so getting back to your first question, unfortunately, I really can't answer that for you because people are different. You had asked if what Let's Kid Delf would be good for you, if it's a good choice for a first-time doll. It's gonna honestly lead down to your preference, because there's some people that are just more comfortable with the OSDs, or people that just like the SDs and the other hound sizes. But in terms of if you want to look at, like, if maybe you think that OSDs are too small, and maybe something as small as, you know, something as small as this, maybe you want something like bigger than this. She's 27 centimeters. Your kid Delf, the Delfs, the kids, are gonna range like 42, so that's like MSD size. So I mean, if you're thinking that maybe this is too small, or when you look at an SD and you're thinking, well, maybe like this is too big, the MSD is definitely good. Like, it's an in-between size. So yeah, it's really gonna honestly come down to what you're gonna want. But I would say MSDs are not a bad size to have. They're actually really nice. It very well may be the size of doll for you. So hopefully with more research that you do and that you look into them more, you'll be able to make that decision, and it'll become more clear as you save the money for it. And lastly, you asked me about bags, if there was a way that you could make a makeshift doll bag. I'm super excited because I'm getting my Dolmore bag. As I mentioned in one of my earlier videos, my boyfriend bought me one for Christmas, so I'll be getting that today. But in the meantime, what I've always done is that I've always carried them in their pillows and then carried them in their boxes. I would literally take my dolls in their boxes, and it is a lot to carry. I would carry these 2 boxes with me, like this, with me. And Umi and Kai were double bunked in this box with their pillows. And Yue would be in her box with her pillows in here. And I would take them like this to the doll meets. I always secretly didn't want to take my dolls in box though, because I really like my dolls in box. So having a doll bag is definitely going to be really nice. But other than that, I mean, I would take them in satchels with their pillows. You could get probably I actually used to carry around one of these bags with me, like just like a satchel, like a bag like this, and I kept them in their pillows. Because as long as they're wrapped up, protected from the sun, and as long as they have some type of cushioning with them and you can keep them near you, you should be fine. Because the big thing with the doll carriers that they have is basically it's just a bag. They'll have like a little seat belt in there for them to be strapped down into the bag with, and some bags will have foam padding on the outside, and that's pretty much what the doll bags are. It's not like there's like a gel, like, you know, a gel padding or anything crazy and fancy schmancy like that. So basically, if you don't, you could make your own doll bag just basically by keeping them in their pillows, putting them in a nice satchel or something, and then just making sure that you keep them safe with you. Because even if you had an actual doll bag, you're still going to want to be extremely careful with them whenever you're traveling around with your dolls. Phew, that was a lot of questions to answer, but I hope that helps. I really honestly do hope that will help you, Anna, and I hope that helps anyone else that maybe have had that similar question or not. But all in all, whatever you decide to save up for, I'm pretty sure, I'm more than positive that you'll be totally in love with it. So good luck, hang in there. It'll be totally worth it once you're done saving up for your doll and when she or he is finally home. So I am pretty much done with my honeysuckle tea. It was really good. We wish you guys a awesome and fantastic Happy New Year. Happy holidays. You guys play it safe. We love you guys very much. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you in a box opening soon for my Dollmore bag. Yeah. I'm dreaming. Can't do this one. And that'd be something that you could do, but honestly, it's gonna boil down. She doesn't want to come here. Doesn't sound so lame.